XRP has just taken the number 3 spot in market cap. It's flipped tether. It went from like 50 cents, I think like 2 to 3 weeks ago. Now it's at like $2.80. It's just done ridiculous numbers.
If you're looking to build a portfolio for the next 6 to 12 months and you think altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin anyway, probably not a bad chance now to sort of dollar cost average in. Like, let's say Bitcoin does run away. There's 2 things that happen.
A mistake that I made in the last cycle is just chasing coins. The more a coin goes up, the more people are talking about it. You get influenced by those people talking about it, typically on YouTube, whatever it may be, and then you might just jump in, and it might be the worst time to jump in, and then that's how you get burned. Well, we are back. Pav Hundal's back in the room. It's been a while, Pav. Welcome back.
Mate, thank you. It's good to be back, but I'm back, but not as we know it.
Oh, this is amazing. For anyone that is listening right now, rather than watching the YouTube, we are in this fancy new set that we're probably not deserving of, but nonetheless, here we are.
We've got to claim it.
It's incredible. It's bull market vibes. We actually look like a proper podcast. We've come a long way.
We have. You know how we said that we won't tell you when the top's in, but there'll be signs?
Yes, this is a sign.
Whispers of that.
It's Chinese whispers at the moment. You know what? It's funny. Like, we're talking about how we came from back in the day where we just sort of set up on the couches out there. And
we did.
One of our listeners commented on the fact that we shouldn't show our legs on the podcast. So that was a fun little learning experience. I think it was just me and Tommy, actually. It wasn't actually you, Pav.
Oh, it could have been me, but I was a frequent knee shower. But I think with this new set, we've got to keep a standard high.
Yeah.
Long pants.
Look, we've got like these fancy new chairs. We've got lights in the back. We've got plants.
It's looking green.
We got our own dedicated space.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Shout out to producer Dan, obviously working night and day to get this over the line. But comfy chair, mate. Well done.
Yeah, mate. So come check us out on YouTube or socials to see, the new setup. But,
we'll get some posts up.
They're not here to see our new podcast setup. They obviously want to hear about the market. And it's been a crazy week. A week that I didn't really see coming. But we're here to break it all down because the key piece this week is obviously XRP and some of those older generation coins. We call them dinosaur coins.
Dinosaur coins.
They've been absolutely ripping. We're going to break that down, why that's happening and what could be happening next. We'll obviously touch on some of the key headlines happening in crypto this week. And then also, because we haven't really spoken a couple of weeks, we had Jason on a couple of weeks ago, then we had Greeny. We haven't had the chance, Pav, to just break it down, tell the listeners what we're doing. So we're going to sort of break it down for everyone, what we're doing right now, what our sort of strategy is, what our portfolio looks like, and go on from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
Let's dive straight into it. So as I said, what's happening right now? XRP has just taken the number 3 spot in market cap.
It's flipped tether.
It went from like 50 cents, I think like 2 to 3 weeks ago. Now it's at like $2.80. It's just done ridiculous numbers. Personally, I didn't see it coming. Like, a little anecdote I have from the office is a new girl started in the marketing team, and she was like, "Oh, what should I buy? My husband tells me like Litecoin and XRP," and I'm like, "Look, personally, I wouldn't be going for those because
like, a genius."
Yeah, I know, right? Now it looks great, but I told her maybe go for something that with a little bit more of a narrative around it, but. Boy, was I wrong, and everyone's let me know. So
it's been a common theme on at least Twitter or X this last week. Everyone being humble or at least biting back to say, like, either saying, "Look, I'm sorry, I was doubting XRP and now it's gone," or you got the other person saying, "I'll just watch it go back to zero." Like, it's just been an interesting mix of it. Raul
Powell admitted defeat. He said, "Congratulations to everyone. I was wrong on this one." So
it's what a week.
Sometimes you just got to do it. But okay, so it's up 400% in the last 30 days. Absolutely insane numbs. Like,
do you reckon
look at
people are taking profits?
So that's what I want to break down.
Yeah,
I think people will start to take profits.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It overtook its 2021 high, and its 2021 high probably didn't reach what people were expecting because the whole SEC lawsuit was happening around that time.
Yeah.
But it's still shy of that all-time high of about $3.30, which we saw in the 2017 bull run. So it's been 7 years. So I'm just wondering if we overtake that, or if we start to see people take profits from here, because most people would likely be in the green unless they bought at the very top in 2017. But following on from that, not only did we see XRP, a coin that's been around forever, rip to 7-year highs, we also saw the likes of HBAR, that's up 160% this week. Algo 97%, IOTA 71%, Link, LTC. So Chainlink is Link, Litecoin is LTC, and then Cardano as well has been doing good things as well. So, We said it before, we're calling these dinosaur coins. It's probably a bit harsh, but like these older generation coins.
Just older generation, right?
Yeah, that have been through typically more than one cycle.
Been through a couple of meteor smashes.
That's it. And I guess throughout the last sort of bear market, we saw that there was just no sort of love for those coins. Like they were, I mean, yeah, they got hit hard when the bear market hit, but then no one was talking about them. They were just trading sideways.
I think you've just got to stop and think about crypto and what it is and what people expect from it. Like it is the frontier of, I guess you could say, like infrastructure and technology sort of merging and finance. So if you've got all these projects saying they're going to deliver X, Y, Z and then not deliver a single thing, of course it like creates two things. It creates cults and then it creates skeptics. Yeah. So obviously everyone that's been in the cult for some time, or that cult like just belief that it's going to deliver finally. I think the XRP one's a good one where it's probably not fair to call it a cult, but they've been hampered by the SEC, like you said, for quite some time. Big Gaz, I know I've got a new story on him. Big Gary Gensler, SEC chair, being stepping down next year. And then I think what's the talks? Is it Trump's new guy coming in is very pro-crypto?
Yeah, new
right?
US Treasury Secretary. So
that's the Treasury Secretary, but separately.
So big sort of regulation news come, but we'll touch on that in a sec. But I want to sort of break down why this whole thing around XRP is happening, because I guess there's been a little bit of sentiment online. It's because the retail market's back, and these are the coins they know. They know the Cardanos, they know the XRP, they know the H bars, but you have a bit of a better explanation that I want you to break down for us.
Well, it's kind of like my idea and my thesis. So, for a long time, the crypto market's just been trading with the money that's currently in it, right? Like there hasn't been this like huge swell of new money enter the space. That kind of changed a few weeks ago. We've seen total market cap, which is, you can look at the ticker on TradingView. It's just called total. Also, if you go to CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, anything like that, just look at the total market cap in the space. But at the end of the day, the amount of dollars coming into crypto, it's at new all-time highs, right? And we've obviously seen Bitcoin move into new all-time highs. And now, obviously, the talk of the town is, okay, well, when does that flow on to altcoins? Now, I've got a nice little graphic, which we'll share in the show notes as well as in today's chat. But generally speaking, in the past, with cycles that we've been in the last one and the one before that, this isn't anything new. Like we have seen when new money does enter the space, it does generally start to result in Bitcoin reaching new all-time highs, and then it's just a trickle, I guess, down the ladder. So we've got the high caps, the mid caps, the low caps. So we're talking ranking by market cap. Generally, the flow does flow very laminar, like it does just go down. Obviously, within that, you also have certain assets that outperform the rest of the market. We can find themes and narratives as to where the market is considering there is value and shifting towards. We spoke about for quite some time infrastructure tokens all through last year, 2023 even. Meme coins, like the narrative was there. That's where the market was seeing value. Any new and existing money was flowing into that space. I think you could say now quite categorically with Bitcoin breaking new all-time highs, the market's now looking at, okay, well, what's been accumulating for months and months and months and months? And it has been, in my opinion, a lot of these dinosaur coins. If you look at their charts, have just been going sideways and slowly up for quite some time. So anything that looks like that, when all of a sudden they've got more money in their pockets, or there's new people coming to the space and they're asking, oh, what should I get, etc., like that. Obviously, people that have been in the space for one or two cycles, they're going to talk about these coins, right? So when we see price move higher, it's very simply there's no selling. Like there's just either the same amount or more buying, but no selling. So I think once the sellers come in, that's going to be something that could be quite interesting to watch. There are a few technical ways you can kind of watch those things with like volume profiles and things like that. But I think we're at a phase now where we've seen the markup. We're now just waiting to see the majority of the market, or even like, I guess you could say the top 5%, because they're always the ones with the biggest bags, start selling. And we start to see that selling action come in. I think that's going to be quite telling. And we've talked about it before, like if Bitcoin has a bit of a cough or a sneeze and we fall back towards 90K, high 80Ks, which is possible from here, it could end the party for a lot of these coins that have been sort of enjoying, I guess, a bit of the limelight again.
So I guess if someone's coming in, to the market today and they're listening to this podcast, like what is the opportunity right now? They might look at XRP and the H bars and ADA all ripping, or they might think, Bitcoin's a safer option, or they might look at the smaller caps. Like, I guess from that graphic that you were mentioning, like it goes from Bitcoin to the large caps to, the likes of Solana and XRP and the likes. And then it goes down to medium caps. Are you currently looking at those medium caps, say from like the top 20 to top 100 coins, or do you still think that Bitcoin has a little bit of, time left in the spotlight.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So for me, I definitely still think there's definitely one more big move coming for Bitcoin before we start to see altcoins really get to really have their time to continue to like break highs consistently. So I think until we see 6-figure Bitcoin, I still think Bitcoin for right now would potentially be the next big play to watch. But that being said, there's a lot of altcoins, like you said, that have just been accumulating, that are mid caps, low caps, or even high caps, to be honest. They've just been tracking sideways. So even though, yes, Bitcoin could go from, let's say, we have no idea how high, but let's say it goes from where it is now, about 94, 95, it goes to 120. Like, that's a 20% move, obviously. And again, this is where it just comes down to what everyone's doing individually. If you're looking to build a portfolio for the next 6 to 12 months and you think altcoin's going to outperform Bitcoin anyway, it's probably not a bad chance now to sort of dollar cost average in. Like, let's say Bitcoin does run away. There's two things that happen. Either altcoins stay where they are, they stay put, or they start to decline and actually get sucked out. A lot of the liquidity goes straight to Bitcoin. And that's kind of what we're talking about with obviously like XRP and HBAR and stuff like that happening. Well, what if there's a sell-off and then there's a big rally on Bitcoin and that just sucks all the liquidity to Bitcoin? Like, we don't know, but that's a scenario. And we've seen that play out before. People may not remember it, but even just recently, we saw Bitcoin go on an absolute tear a few weeks ago. Had that exact effect. Altcoins just stayed stagnant. Some of them even continued to sell off. Bitcoin was just ripping. So for me, that's like a good sign of health, that the market's rotating to what it's perceiving as value, and then that value distributes and we start to see altcoins go. So I think the question for everyone is more, what's your plan? What's your objective? If you're looking to just jump on like a short-term trend and you're in it for like a week, that's where you could look at these assets like HBAR, XRP, they're kind of going. You might have an idea that it could keep going and you just want to catch 5% there, sure. But if you're more thinking 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, it's probably time to start scouting those, like as you're saying, like top, around that, anywhere from rank 20 to rank 50, 60, mid cappy-ish area. What are some of the assets either showing good performance right now or have things on their roadmap fundamentally that are going to sort of land?
No, I think it's a good lesson to learn as well, and something that a mistake that I made in the last cycle is just chasing coins, because the more a coin goes up, the more people are talking about it, and then you get influenced by those people talking about it, typically on YouTube or whatever it may be, and then you might just jump in, and it might be the worst time to jump in, and then that's how you get burned. But I like what you said, like look for the fundamentals, look for the narratives, coins in the top 20 to 100, there's a lot of value in there, and they're not super high risk. But we saw Sui hit new all-time highs in terms of active users. Like, that's a strong fundamental aspect that you'd look for. What else? I
think Base Network is generating more and more fees, more active users. So, even looking at things like rotation to Ethereum, that making new all-time highs, I think that's when I know everyone's been looking at base chain to be the next big thing, but that's when I'd want to see it really start to materially get more active users, more DEX volumes, things like that. Yep. So I think that's a cool thing to watch for. Solana's just been the talk of the town for the last 2 years. I don't think it's going to stop. But again, if we're looking for rotation to value, what's the bigger value play? Like something like Sui really coming online with momentum, or Solana just continuing with momentum, right? So it's like everyone's got to work that out for themselves. And obviously we're here to chat about it, so hopefully provide some insights.
Absolutely, mate. Good breakdown. All right, well, let's dive into some news headlines. So first, you brought up before, so Trump has elected a new U.S. Treasury Secretary. And so the previous one, or the current one, I think it's still in the process of migrating over, but Janet Yellen. For anyone that doesn't know Janet Yellen, she was, in terms of like a similar vein to Gary Gensler, pretty anti-crypto, to put it bluntly. And I think with now the new Trump administration, Trump's bringing all his people in. And so this person is very pro-crypto. So his name is Scott Bessent, and he's a pro-crypto hedge fund executive. And basically he's come out on an interview with Fox News and said, crypto is about freedom and the crypto economy is here to stay. So what I take from that is the next 4 years are looking, more bullish from a regulation perspective. We touched on before, Gary Gensler is stepping down. Have they announced who's overtaking Gary?
Not
Gensler?
Yet. They're speculating, but it's still pro-crypto themed. Yeah.
I think the person we mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we had Chris on, the lady named Crypto Mum.
Oh yeah.
She has basically said she's not willing to step up. So you can cross that one off the list,
off the bingo list. Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch. But even like other stories that haven't caught as big of a headline is, the sanctions against Tornado Cash. We talked about that probably a year ago. They were considered unlawful, so that's probably likely to be thrown out at this stage. Also, a federal judge in Texas struck down the SEC's new broker deal rule. So that has to do with, that was one thing that was going to impact particularly DeFi. So hopefully, the DeFi sector is looking a little bit more prosperous now, because we're worried about potentially regulation absolutely cooking that sector. But overall, I think what you want to look at is the fact that this new administration with Trump is looking more pro-crypto than previously, which just creates a more favorable environment for the market, right?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think you could probably speculate that, that administration probably sees crypto as an opportunity, as, hey, this may or not be a big thing in the future, but if it's going to be, like, the US is known for one thing, and it's exporting, their biggest export's their finance, right? Well, you could probably say other things as well, like defense and all that sort of stuff. But financial instruments, people buy trillions and trillions of dollars worth of US debt because it's going to perform better than their own country's GDP, which is pretty gross to think about, but that's just how it is. So I think there'll be a bit of a race from the US to be the home of crypto. I think, at least, moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, they've started well behind, right? Because of basically the Biden administration was pretty anti-crypto. But they've got some catching up to do. But then again, they're like the biggest market in the world for this sort of thing. So I'm sure they'll make it work, and they'll absolutely nail it. But you've got another update from MicroStrategy. I feel like this is a week-to-week sort of update.
No surprise, right? It's almost... but yeah, another $1.5 billion of Bitcoin purchased by MicroStrategy. But on the other side of the coin, there's also been a recent story about the US government shifting $1.9 billion in Silk Road seized assets, specifically in Bitcoin. So almost one cancels the other one out, potentially scenario. Who knows? But we have no idea exactly what's happening with that $1.9 billion that the US government did shift to Coinbase. But yeah, look, those 20,000 Bitcoins, they could end up on the market, and we'll just have to wait and see how the market responds. I know I checked some of the ETF values from overnight. They're still flowing through. Seems to be some buying just on the institutional front still.
Well, as a whole, November was a record month for the Bitcoin ETFs. So
no surprise when you look at that vertical chart. I don't know. For me, right now, it just seems like there's too many positive things running and a lot more demand than even the supply. Hopefully, it doesn't really impact the market too much. But I think just sort of touching back on what we were talking about before, if we do see somewhat of a cool off and this sort of sell pressure does enter the market, it could just cause a bit of a hiccup for the markets in terms of just a bit of a sell-off or a cooling off, if you want to call it that.
Just on the MicroStrategy piece, I was at Australian Crypto Convention, and I was speaking to someone. He said he did a 7x on MicroStrategy stock in like 12 months. I'm like, so you actually outperformed Bitcoin by investing in a company to get exposure to Bitcoin. Like, that's pretty cool.
It's nuts.
But I don't know. Like, I never really thought about... I thought MicroStrategy is more of like a safe haven, investing in Bitcoin through the stock market, because, some people aren't willing to go down the, the crypto exchange route, or, the ETFs weren't available. But the fact that it outperformed Bitcoin as a whole in the last 12 or so months is pretty incredible.
The demand is crazy.
Yeah.
Driving that price up like crazy.
But look, at the start of the episode, I mentioned we were going to break down what each of us are doing right now, sort of what we've been doing in the last couple of weeks, because we haven't spoken in quite a while, and what our current strategies are. So, Pav, why don't you kick us off?
So what I'm doing, largely sitting on my hands. I unfortunately missed a pretty good opportunity to, as I sort of expressed to you, Ted, while I was on holidays in Caloundra, sunny coast here in Queensland. I missed a pretty good trading week. Like, we saw a lot of the assets that I was in, but just narrative-driven sectors just pump, mainly meme coins. We saw that week, I think Pepe and Bonk and all the like, up about 140% in 2 weeks. So for me, I just have it since, mistakes I've made in the past, not to chase. So I've kind of like just taken a back seat from trading right now, waiting for Bitcoin to sort of press and move beyond that 100K mark. I think that's the next big thing to... Because at the end of the day, if you're like me and the way I think, I need a trending environment to really grow my wealth. I'm not really too interested in when the market's chopping, like up and down, up and down. And if I see something like Ethereum or Litecoin move, if I see an opportunity, I will take it for a short-term trade, but I can't really turn that into like a larger trade personally. So I kind of feel like I've missed the boat on that. Have to accept that. But I think for me, it's Bitcoin 100K. I then want to see something like Bitcoin dominance really start to rally hard, and we start to put in for those sort of new Bitcoin dominance is how much percent of the total market cap does Bitcoin make up? We have sort of seen that start to sell off for a little bit now, but I still think if Bitcoins are going to rally hard to 100K and above, that's going to shoot back up anywhere to like 65, 70% is what I'm speculating. So when I see that, I'll see that as another reason to rotate my remaining tranches of Bitcoin into some altcoins. And it's only then that I'll probably be paying attention as to what's really moving to work out what I'm going to go into. To be honest, I think, like I said to you, I have noticed lately, I think it was before the show, sorry. Like, obviously, we've been following meme coins and infrastructure tokens for months and months and months now. It's been almost like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But these last, I would say, 2 weeks, when I have tried to like get my read back in on the market, it's been less about meme coins, and I'm starting to see the market move more towards some other assets. Like I've noticed Arweave, I've noticed Mantra DAO, I've noticed HNT, Aave. I think it was Aave. Some of the other ones that had shown strength probably 6-ish months ago and kind of not really done much since then. Yeah. So you could speculate that they've been reaccumulating and now they're about to go through their markup phase. I still think meme coins will go higher, but it might just take a few weeks of consolidation before they start to pounce and move again. So I'm just trying to look at, well, what's the opportunity now? My spot positions, I'm kind of all sort of set right now. I would say I'm still probably more so in meme coins than I am Bitcoin. As of about a month ago, I did a few rotations. Once Bitcoin was moving quite aggressively, I was rotating it out. That's played out quite well over the last, since 2 weeks ago when I did see my portfolio move a bit higher versus Bitcoin. But I would say I might regret that now that Bitcoin does move that next extra 20%. But my sort of forecast and goal for this, where my portfolio is now, is, you know, looking at the next 6 to 12 months. So I still think in the next 6 to 12 months, what I've rotated to will still outperform whatever change Bitcoin will still have. But I still have Bitcoin, I would say 40% of the portfolio. And that's kind of how I'm sitting right now. It's kind of what I'm doing. Really just waiting to see, because I really think things are going to change quicker than what people are expecting when things like Ethereum start making new all-time highs. Just the knock-on effect that will have, I think, on like NFTs coming back alive. Gaming projects, we've always talked about them for some time now. I don't think they're going to make a huge change right now, but you might see a shift in just the performance of those assets. And then even DeFi. So like you sort of mentioned before, just the clarity around Tornado Cash might blow some positive tailwinds for DeFi again. And seeing Aave just continue to make some serious moves. Just interested to see what that could do. So not a great synopsis, if I'm honest, because I'm just waiting and watching right now. But I still think, Bitcoin first, wait for that to fall down a little bit in terms of dominance, and then look at what altcoins to really shift into.
Yeah, well, I think what we'll do is we have a bit of a predictions episode coming up towards the end of the year. We'll also review our last predictions from last year. Some went pretty well. Some not as well as we would have liked. But what we'll do is we'll do one episode where we review what our last predictions were, and then we'll look forward to 2025 and make some pretty hot calls, what we think is going to happen, and we'll break that down in a little bit more depth. But I'll touch on quickly, sort of in a similar strategy to you, Pav. Like, I saw Bitcoin dominance surpass 60%, and we were nearing 100K. My Bitcoin was looking really strong, but from that perspective, I shaved off some profits. As Greeny said last week, you got to live life, you got to pay bills. So remember, it's always important to take profits. But then, as well, I also allocated some of those Bitcoin profits to rotate it into altcoins. So Solana, I've got a big bag. I also put some into Sui and Jupiter. So just existing.
I think Jupiter did well. It was like 20% last week.
Yeah, I think Jupiter, given the craze around meme coins and shit coins, particularly on Solana, Jupiter's the number one DEX for the Solana ecosystem. So I think it stands to do pretty well, at least in my sort of opinion.
I agree.
But yes, that's what I did. And also an interesting one, I know you touched on ETH, because we think ETH is going to have a narrative at some stage, and it's going to, rip to new all-time highs. And then we also think that the whole sort of ETH ecosystem is going to follow as like a beta player, right? I've actually held a lot of Bitcoin and ETH, throughout the bear market, but just this time I've decided, do I think Solana is going to outperform ETH in this bear market? Yeah, I do. So I actually allocated the majority of my ETH to Solana. I think Solana it hasn't really done, huge numbers in the last couple of weeks. We've seen from the likes of XRP, ADA. But if you look in the last, 12 to 18 months, it's been ridiculous, right? So it's already done its dash, and I think it's got a lot more room to grow, probably more so than Bitcoin and ETH. So that's the majority of my portfolio at the moment. If it was in a bear market, I would absolutely have more in, Bitcoin and ETH. But given where we're heading and where I think we're going, starting to get a little bit more risk prone in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. And even looking at a lot of the macro metrics, like it's definitely a global sentiment that the risk is shifting to more risk on. So outside of crypto as well. So at some point, that money is just going to, as a result, flow into crypto. So
for sure,
seems to be the way to be.
Absolutely. Well, we've got one more segment to finish off, guys. So we're going to change our tipping segment a little bit because... why are we doing this, Pav?
I just thought we could simplify it. Like those that remember, we'd pick 3 assets and then just do a bit of a who made the most type of thing.
Yep.
I feel like it's just easier if we pick one. And then I thought we should spice it up and give it a theme every time as well. So
I like that. It means I can't choose dog with fat every week.
I was kind of getting sick of that too. No, but I thought it'd be good. And obviously, people listening along at home too, it's just a lot easier just to throw one in the comments. We'll probably do some competitions at some times to time and do some random draws as well. So just let us know what your pick is for this week as well. And I'm sure we can get something out to someone who performs really well.
We're going to start, as you said, we're going to start doing some giveaways, some comps, so just get some community engagement going as well. So make sure
new podcast set, so you've got to give back.
Well, yeah, exactly. Look how good we look, and we've got to give the value to the people.
That's it.
But mate, so the theme of this week is we have to pick a dinosaur coin in line with the theme of this week's podcast.
Yep. So we define dinosaur coin as something that launched before 2021, so the previous cycle high. Yep. So it's seen a couple of meteor strikes, as we said at the start.
Yep.
So there's obviously a few that came to mind. IOTA, Cardano, XRP, we've already seen that. Litecoin. Mm-hmm. What else we got? XLM.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on, I guess, a little bit. But what'd you pick, Ted?
Mate, I've gone XLM, as you just said.
Stellar?
So Stellar. Yeah, it used to be Stellar Lumen. So that's... I don't know where it sits in the market. Maybe like around the 30 mark.
Yeah, probably about there. Not sure myself.
Yeah. So... the reason I chose that is I was looking, we touched on all those boomer coins, dinosaur coins, whatever you want to call them. XLM hasn't done the numbers that some of those have done in the last week to 30 days. And I was like, we've always seen in the past that XLM has a similar sort of trajectory to XRP. In this case, we haven't seen that. So I think, it's probably not going to do the numbers that XRP has, but I think, we haven't seen that association yet play out. So I'm going to take a little bit of a punt on Stellar, XLM, and hope for the best.
I like that one. I chose Litecoin, specifically just looking at some of the technicals. Like it's kind of playing out a very similar sort of accumulation and breakout as we saw with XRP. Again, I do think if Bitcoin does take a bit of a break and cool off, all of this kind of falls apart a little bit. But I would say even if it were to do half of what XRP does, it's still got potentially some room to go. But I just caution that I'm thinking more of a week-to-week aspect here. I don't know if it's going to break to new all-time highs. Like we really haven't seen anything new come out from the Litecoin team. Mm-hmm. So fundamentally, not probably too much happening there. But
well, they did announce that they were now a meme coin. Did you hear that?
Is that? I was going to ask. Is that for real?
So we spoke about it last week. I'll touch on it quickly. They basically tweeted out that they wanted to re-establish themselves as a meme coin, so they could capture that
Pivot
sort of
Valley
meme coin narrative, and everyone just jumps in on it. So, and SwiftX actually did temporarily change their category to meme coin in the app to try and get a tweet off them. So
nice.
Just playing to the culture a little bit.
No, that's good. All right, I think they're two good dinos. So they got XLM and Litecoin, and we'll see where we are in a week. But obviously, if you're listening along at home again, just chuck us a comment in any of the socials, and if you're if you're one of the top performers, might shoot you a prize. Could be a shirt, could be a hat.
Yeah. Also, if you have any questions as well, like we're happy to answer them on the show. We always find that those segments do really well. So if you have any questions or you want us to break anything down for you, whether it's a certain segment within crypto or just a general sort of question about Bitcoin, whatever it may be, fire away and we'll do our best to answer it.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. Catch you next week.
It's a wrap. See you, Ted. See you, gang.